Hey, good morning, and welcome to Get Your Mind Right, the Mailbag Edition. I'm John Johnson. Well, today, if you've ever had a friend who took something just a little too far, you're going to feel right at home with today's backstory. I'm going to give you a little teaser here. Let's just say it involves a Rubik's Cube, an overconfident teenage savant, and a prank that turned obsession into chaos. It's one of the personal greatest acts of sabotage I've ever witnessed. Completely glorious. And there's a lesson in it for anyone who's ever felt stuck, ghosted, or strung along. And more on that later. But today's mailbag, we're going to deliver on three fronts. We're trying to connect with a merchant who ghosted after the install. We're trying to deal with a chronic I need to think about it merchant, and finally battling a sales slump while trying to stay sharp. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Get Your Mind Right. Today, we're diving into your questions and insights in our mailbag segment. Thanks to everyone who wrote in. Let's open up the mailbag.
So, first mailbag comes from Bob Gilly from Springfield, Missouri. Bob says, John, I got ghosted post install. What do I do now? Well, Bob, first of all, this one hits home for every rep who's ever watched a once hot lead turn into dead air after the paperwork clears. Think you're building something solid, they're nodding their heads, they're swiping the card, then nothing. Now your CRM is haunting you and teasing you with their name like that digital poltergeist. Now, here's how you flip that. First thing, Bob, is stop just quote unquote checking in. That phrase is the sales version of static. Communicates zero urgency, zero new value. Get rid of it. Bob, I want you to lead with insight. If you've seen a trend or challenge in their industry, call it out. Say, hey, Steve, merchants like you are tired of seeing this sort of trend. I figured you'd want to get out in front on this. Now, anymore, you're not begging for attention, you're offering them relevance. The next thing is to create curiosity. Try this on. Say, hey, Steve, I got an idea that could save 2 or 3 hours of your week using what you already have. Is this worth 5 minutes of your time? Now, notice what we're doing here. We're doing a pattern interrupt and we're doing a value tease. I'm not laying it all out there. I'm just giving them a little tease of this and implying that there's more to follow behind that. The last thing, if this works for you, Bob, is to lighten up the approach by using some humor. Say, hey, I'm not saying I miss you, but my CRM keeps your name at the top and it's starting to get a little awkward. It's going to signal both your personality and persistence, which can reignite that relationship without being weird. So, Bob, this is classic bull aardvark territory. Time to dig in like it's no one's business. Not to chase, but to reframe. Lead with value, offer new angles, and never forget relevance resurrects. Thanks a lot for that question, Bob. Our next question comes from Bob Gilberg from Gilroy, California. Bob says, John, I got a merchant that keeps telling me I need to think about this over and over and over. This is the nth time. Well, Bob, it's tough love time for you. If they've ever said, I need to think about it 5 times, you're not dealing with a decision delay. You're dealing with a decision dodge. Now, at this point, this game is less about pitching and more about calling the stall without triggering defensiveness. So the first thing is to try the mirror check. Steve, I appreciate how seriously you take these decisions. We've been talking for a while now, and I want to make sure that I'm not wasting your time or mine. Is there something specifically holding you back, or have you already decided and just haven't said out loud yet? That's not rude. It's just thick-skinned honesty. It invites clarity. Bob, this is really, really important because you're giving your merchant a chance to get off the hook here while letting yourself off the hook. Because what's happening now is, as you pointed out here, is you both are just burning time here. Bob, you can always make more money, but you can't get your time back. Now, the other way to do is to get out that respectful fork. Say, hey, Steve, I'm happy to keep checking in, but only if this is still something you're interested in solving. Should I reach out to you in a month? Or are we closing the loop here? We're accomplishing a couple of things by utilizing this talk track. The first thing, you're respecting their right to say no, and it also reclaims your time and authority. Bob, this is that big energy that we're talking about here. You're not here to babysit someone's indecision. You're here to help serious people solve real problems. Now, either way, we're moving forward or we're not. And if not, well, God bless you and let it go. Appreciate you sending in yet another great question, Bob. Now, today's mailbag is we're going to end up with Brad Holler from Nashville, Tennessee. And Brad says, John, how do you keep your mind right when you are in a sales slump? Whoa, Brad, first off, man, respect. Most reps are not cognizant or self-aware enough to even ask this question. They just write it out in silence and they end up spiraling. As if ignoring it, this problem is going to go away. Let's keep it real here. Slumps are not a glitch in the matrix. They are the matrix. This is part of the rhythm of sales. It's part of the rhythm of business and even part of the rhythm of life. So, Brad, here's how you stay sane and while getting yourself back on the track. And the first is stick to the script. Discipline beats motivation. Always set your calls, set your demos, hit your dailies. Don't rely on feeling it. Just do it. What I find more times than not that when people are in a slump, it's because they've gotten off script. They're cutting corners. They forgot what it has done or what they have done to be successful and they get away from it. Get back to your script. Next thing, Brad, very, very important. Control what you can. You can't force these deals across the finish line, okay? But you can own your effort. You can own the follow through, the tone, the research, the present. That's your zone we want to live in, and that's the zone that's going to take you to success. The next thing here is to stack small wins. I talk about this a lot. We're not going to move a mountain today, but what we can do is get a bunch of little wins, stack them up, and over a period of time, it can become something big. If you're in a really big slump, celebrate the effort, not the outcome. You got ghosted 5 times, but you booked 1 callback. I'm counting that. That's a win. I'm moving. And that motion is going to lead to momentum. Next thing, Brad, it's really important is to check your bearings and check your inputs. Audit your headspace. Who are you listening to? What's your algorithm feeding you? If it's junk, get rid of it. Garbage in, garbage out. Next thing is if you've got that lifeline left, Brad, and I know you do, phone a friend. Get in touch with someone who's been there. This is not a pity party. Just a dose of truth and perspective. Sometimes you need hey, you've done this before, you'll do it again. And one more thing here, and this is a tough one. Look backward, not to dwell, but to remember. Remember your best days. Remember what you did. Remember what that felt like. Because this version of you, it still exists. It's still live and well, and it's still in you, but you got to pull it out. You got to call it out. You got to look for it. Brad, go full jungle mode on this, even if it's only 5 calls at a time. Hey, man, this is part of the climb, and you're not alone. Get your hustle on. Respect for asking the hard stuff right here, Brad. I love your messages and your letters that you send me, Brad. Please keep them coming. And now for the backstory. Welcome to the backstory, where I take a step back before we move forward. Each week, I share moments that shape me. Whether it's my time as a sales rep, my journey as a dad, experiences I had, stories I've learned, or the curiosity that's followed me since childhood. Because every lesson learned today, well, there's usually a story worth telling behind it. Let's get into it. All the questions today have a great tie-in in today's backstory. Because you know what all 3 of those questions have in common? I don't know if this is a word, but I may invent it right here. And I'm going to call it stuckness. Whether you're being ghosted on follow-ups, you're getting a never-ending cavalcade of maybes, or just that heavy, low-grade fog of a sales slump. It all comes back to spinning your wheels and wondering, am I doing something wrong here, or is this thing just broken? Which brings us to today's backstory. It starts with a Rubik's Cube, a teenage overachiever, and one of the greatest acts of sabotage I've ever witnessed. Now, if you've ever pushed and pushed and pushed on a problem only to find out the pieces just didn't line up, well, you're going to feel this one. So let's get into it. So the protagonist of our story, his name is Scott. We are lifelong friends and have been that way since we've been about 11 years old. And the thing that defines him now, and the trait that anchors almost everything he does and who he is, was already in place way back then. And here's what that thing is. Once this guy gets something between his teeth, he is not, and I mean never, going to turn it loose. He's like a barracuda whose teeth are turned inward. Once they sink their teeth in that flesh, they are physically incapable of turning it loose. This guy, Scott, he doesn't dabble. He devoured. He didn't sample, he'd master it. And he had no interest in letting the rest of us mere peasants forget this. I'll give you a case in point here. He went through a magic phase. And a lot of kids go through this one. And this could be anything from, pulling a coin from your ear, pretending to solve a thumb, card tricks, any of those things under the tree. Well, Scott just didn't go through that. I mean, this guy bought books. He learned sleight of hand technique. He practiced card tricks for hours. It was amazing. He had one trick. It was the mentalist routine where there's a secret piece of paper, a flame, and a final reveal. And he showed this to me in junior high. And it was flawless. He'd have you write something down, then burn it, and then tell you exactly what it said. And every few years, I ask him about it. He still won't tell me how he did it. I've asked, I've guessed, and I watched to him for like that hawk for that tail, okay? Nothing. And then I'll get something condescending like, and a magician never reveals his secrets. Of course, accompanied with a smirk. So, when I was a kid, when this Rubik's Cube craze hit in our teenage years, most of us, like me, got a hold of it, played with it, got frustrated, got disinterested, and moved on. Well, not Scott. To Scott, this Rubik's Cube was not a toy. It was a personal challenge sent from the universe. Giving him this Rubik's Cube was like giving crack to a ferret. So next thing you know, he's got another book. Not a pamphlet, a book, not on magic, but on the Rubik's Cube. I remember him showing it to me and being floored. I mean, this was a real book. I could not believe how many pages were involved. Diagrams, algorithms, techniques, move sequences that look like what an air traffic controller might study here. I said, you're kidding me. You're really going to read this? Oh, no, I'm not just going to read it. I'm going to internalize this. If you've never done it, let me tell you, solving a Rubik's Cube from a manual is no small thing. This is not just a matter of following instructions. You have to memorize multi-step moves, identify patterns on the fly, and then re-engineer all this chaos into order, all with a cube that mocks you every step of the way. It's pretty impressive, but at the same time, to me, exhausting and pointless. Now though, back to our hero. Once Scott cracked this, that wasn't enough. Now he needed audience. Mixed up, he'd say. See if I can do it. Which he could. Well, then it was get it done quickly. Mixed up, he'd say, and time me. Okay, the first time, it's pretty cool. Nod of the head here. 10th time, okay, we all get it. The 50th time, I'm actively praying for this Rubik's Cube to catch on fire from its overusage and the friction being generated here. But no, not our hero. Because Scott, he was in his full testosterone-fueled teenage glory. Solving the cube wasn't enough. It was about speed. How fast he could do it. How much faster he could do it the last time. And dominance. And reminding the rest of us that he could do something that we couldn't. Every hangout, every conversation led back to that godforsaken cube. Until one day, the third piece of our unholy trio of friends, this would be our buddy Sid, had enough. We're headed to Scott's house, and Sid says to me, if I have to see him solve that Rubik's Cube one more time, I'm going to take it and stick it. Well, you get the rest of this. So we show up. Guess what? Oh yeah, if you're betting, you won here. This is the first thing out of his mouth. Hey, check this out. Mixed up. Let's see how fast I can solve this. Sid and I, fake enthusiasm in full bloom, we go through the motions. Scott leaves the room for a second. I get distracted for a microsecond. Sid, as it turns out, he was not distracted. Scott walks back in, and Sid shoots me a little side eye and a slight wink, and I know something's about to go down. And he says, hey, Scott, how fast do you think you can solve this one? Scott, of course, full of confidence. Under 3 minutes, easy. All right, prove it, as he flips it to him. So he grabs it, starts to work, and it gets to work. Fingers flying, cube spinning. full concentration mode. I'm half watching. Again, I've seen this show many, many times. But Sid, there's something up. He's holding back a grin. About a minute in, Sid starts chirping. Hey, not seeing much progress over there, champ. I got this, Scott snaps, not looking up. Then 2 minutes, then 3 minutes, and 4. Nothing. Tiny rivulets of sweat start forming on Scott's upper lip, tongue slightly out, in concentration. His brain is in full overdrive. Hey, buddy, Sid says. The clock's still ticking. Are we going to see the magic or not? Give me a minute, Scott growls. 5 minutes in, he's going nowhere. We had places to go. I said, come on, man, let's go. You guys go ahead, he mutters, eyes glued to the cube. I had enough. I didn't even try to argue with him. I have fought and lost this Rubik's Cube one time too many. We walk out the car. I'm thinking back on this. So I look at Sid. I go, did you do something? And he grins. I switched the stickers. Scott never stood a chance. The puzzle was now unsolvable. Now, some might see this as a prank. Some might see it as a dirty trick. For me, it was a mercy. Now, there is a lesson here, though, because sometimes the puzzle that looks solvable, but it isn't. Sometimes you can be doing all the right moves. You've done the studying, you've done the homework, but the pieces have changed and no one told you, or worse, some prankster changed the pieces on you. And sometimes you just got to know when to walk away and recalibrate. Now, how this ties in, whether it's a merchant ghosting you or maybe it means no, or your own brain is in a slump, an answer may not be try harder. It might be try different. Well, that's today's mailbag. And hey, share this with someone who you think needs it. And please like it and hit that subscribe button. If you've got questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. Drop them in the box below. I'll see you back here on Wednesday for Get Your Mind